Did you hear about the guy in France who ran a marathon on his balcony? And now there are people that are running ultra marathons right in their backyard, going around the perimeter of their yard, making up the distance to run ultra marathons or marathons. Whew, I think it'll get you dizzy. Now, to run a full marathon, it's 42.2 kilometers. Now, if my little backyard back here is a 6 meter by 4 meter rectangle shape, how many times would I have to go around my yard in order to make a full marathon?
So when we're talking about perimeter, we're talking about the measurement going around a shape. So perimeter is the measurement around a shape. So my backyard is 6 meters by 4 meters. And to complete a whole marathon is 42.2 kilometers. Now we should know that our conversion for every 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So I won't be able to calculate how many laps I would need to do until I figure out how many meters is 42.2 kilometers. Well, if it's every 1 kilometer is 1,000, I just times this by 1,000, making it 42,200 meters I would have to go in order to complete a whole marathon. When we're talking about going around, it's not only the one side of 6 meters and then 4 meters, but it's another 6 meters and another 4 meters. So the two ways that you could do perimeter for a rectangle is that you can add 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4 in order to figure that out. Or since these two sides equal each other and these two sides equal each other, another formula that you could use is 2 times 6, which is 2 times these two sides, plus 2 times 4, which is these two sides here. Either way, you're going to get what the perimeter is to go around it. So 2 times 6 is 12, plus 2 times 4 is 8, which equals then 20 meters. So for 1 lap around my yard is 20 meters. So what does that mean for how many times I would have to go around in order to make 42,200 meters? So what you have to do is actually divide 42,200 by 20. And you get 2,110. So I would have to go around my yard 2,110 times in order to run a marathon. So let's remember that two formulas you can use in order to find the perimeter of a rectangle. The one is to just add all of the sides together. So it would be A plus B plus B, which would equal perimeter. Or you could use bracket 2 times A plus 2 times B equals perimeter.
So we looked at perimeter of a rectangle, but what about the perimeter of a square? What could the formula be if you were trying to figure out the perimeter of going around a square?
So if we're looking at a square, that means that all 4 sides are equal. So the formula for a perimeter, when we're talking about adding A plus A plus A plus A, could actually be 4 times A equals perimeter. So it won't matter what A is, you just multiply it by 4, being the 4 sides, and you have the measurement that goes around the perimeter. So what if it gave you the perimeter and it gave you one of the sides and you had to figure out the other side? You use the formulas that I've given you in order to figure out what A is. So the first thing that we know is the one side is 7. So we could put 7 into the formula. So remember, our formula for a rectangle would be 2 times A plus 2 times 7. And we have what perimeter is. It equals 24. So for this one, you can actually change it down to 2A if you would like, or leave it as 2 times A, plus, and then 2 times 7 being 14 equals 24. Now remember, we're trying to figure out what A is, so we've got to take this 14 away. So we subtract 14 from one side, whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So we've got to subtract 14 from this side. So now we're left with 2 times A equals, because these two count each other out, and 24 minus 14 is 10. So 2 times something equals 10. That means that A equals 5 centimeters. Now remember, this is your calculations. So what you should also do is go back and check your work. Let's put 5 in for A for the formula, and let's see if it makes sense. So 2 times 5 plus 2 times 7 equals 24. 10 plus 14 equals 24. So it makes sense. You can also use different formulas in order to find the perimeter for different triangles as well. We've already looked at equilateral triangles, isosceles, scalene. If it's an equilateral triangle, all 3 sides are equal, so you could just times the side length by 3. So perimeter equals 3s. For an isosceles triangle, what you would have is 2 sides are equal. So you could have perimeter equals 2 times s plus q for the one side that isn't equal. For scalene, you would actually have to add up all of the sides because there's no side that is equal to each other for a scalene triangle. That also goes the same with any polygon that doesn't have the same sides being equal. You would just have to add the sides together. So what we're trying to understand is that the formula for perimeter changes according to the actual shape and what sides are equal to each other. So I've taken these 3 shapes as examples. So for our first one up here, we have these 2 sides are equal to each other, but these 2 sides are not. So the formula could be for perimeter is that perimeter equals, and I'm going to name these sides A, B, and C like this, that you have 2 times A plus B plus C. That could be the formula for that one instead of adding all the sides. For the isosceles triangle over here, you have these 2 sides are equal. Let's call them A and this B. So perimeter equals 2 times A, and then we only have 1 B here, so it would be plus B. For our hexagon here, all 6 sides are equal. So this one is actually perimeter equals 6 times A. For a parallelogram, you have 2 sides that are equal here and 2 sides that are equal here, A, B. So perimeter equals 2 times A plus 2 times B.
So last year you learned about perimeter and what perimeter is. This year it's learning about the formulas that could possibly be used for different polygons when it comes to figuring out the perimeter for them. So when you're thinking about your calculations, think about different formulas that could be used in order to figure out the perimeter.